Hello everybody, so here is Luna Delivery again, and I'm here to talk to you about how to introvert intuition chapter 1. So what we're going to talk about in this specific chapter is the aspect of introvert intuition that is cause and effect. So we're talking about one of the aspects of the function, and we're going to learn how to use cause and effect to understand what happened in a specific situation. One thing that I noticed going around words and talking to people is that a lot of the time one problem that low introvert intuition types have is to determine what started a conflict or how a conflict developed. So let's imagine for a second that you have a friend involved in a conflict and you want to figure out what happened and why the conflict happened in the first place. So you're going to have to use cause and effect thinking, which means your introverted intuition. And here I'm talking in particular to ISTPs, but also to ESTPs. So how do you use cause and effect thinking to understand what generated a conflict and how a conflict developed? This is useful to you because it will help you punish the real wicked, so to speak. So basically stand on the right side, and we know that introverted thinking types are very, very interested in justice. So how to be just using introverted intuition. I think I will start with a story. When I was in the kindergarten, I used to go to the kindergarten at a cluster school, at a monastery school. And when I was in the kindergarten, whenever there was a quarrel or an argument between children, the nuns used to do something that struck my attention big time, and that can help you develop and explore how to use introverted intuition. Basically, what happened was that the nuns would pick the two kids that were having the quarrel, and they put them one next to the other, and they would start asking questions like, what happened? One of the two or the two together would say something, and at that point the nun would pick one of the two and go like, okay, this happened, and you did that. Why did you do that? So the child would answer why they were doing that, saying something on the line of why did you pull the girl's booty? I did because she called me a jerk. Then the nun would turn to the girl and go like, why did you call him a jerk? Because he punched me on the shoulder. Why did you punch her on the shoulder? Because she was nasty to me an hour before. Why were you nasty with him an hour before? And they would go on like that, trying to figure out what started the conflict and what kind of emotional state there was behind the conflict in the first place. So basically, it was trying to get to the root of what actually happened. So this is a way to actively question, but introvert intuition, we know, is a process that happens within the mind. So it's something that happens in here. And it's not by asking questions, unluckily, that we can develop introverted intuition. Asking questions is an awesome way to check if your conclusions are correct. And this is a tip also for introverted intuition dominants and introverted intuition auxiliaries. Because being an introverted intuition egon doesn't mean necessarily that your conclusions are correct. So, how to introverted intuition is basically asking yourself, in the light of what you can see and you have in front of you, what could have happened? You know your friend, you know the situation, you know what has been going on, you know what makes your friend click. And that's because it's someone that you know in depth. So what happened? What is that kind of thing that makes my friend react that way? Well, they probably did this thing. I know that they did that, so my conclusion is correct. So once you have that passage, you can ask yourself, why did this person do that? And then you will find out a reason. Introverted intuition is a subjective function. So one thing that introverted intuition dominance and introverted intuition auxiliaries are often accused of is to project. First of all, I have plenty of extroverted intuition types, extroverted intuition types that project big time, and it's really annoying when they do. So everybody out there projects. It's not an Enneagram 6 trait. It's not only introverted intuition dominance. FI types project their emotions onto others. All of us, in a way or another, project. So let's learn how to use that projection in a constructive way rather than using that in a destructive way. How do we use that constructively? It is by using our own experience of ourselves and our own reactions to understand human nature. So basically, when you're faced with a child pulling a girl's booty, what in your personal experience would have made you pull a girl's booty? What is it that as a child would have pushed you to do that? Now, maybe an ESTP could come up with something like, I don't know, when I was a child, I used to enjoy pushing people's buttons to see what would make them tick. So I used to pull girls' booties to make them cry, to see if that would make them cry. And it's different for every single person. So it's not like if the first girl cried, every girl would cry. So I had to test every single girl and pull every girl's brooding. Once that you have that conclusion, you have to understand that it's probably not the only reason. So you will have to ask yourself another reason why you would have pulled the girl's brooding. And then you will probably remember that one time in which you pulled the girl's broody because she was nasty to you. So what did she do to you? What made you react in that way? Once you have that answer, you can look for another reason why you were pulling the girl's broody. So basically, you have to put yourself in the situation and wonder why you would do that in the first place. What cause would generate that affect? This is how you use introverted intuition to understand people's reactions and to understand how why people act the way they do. And that's how you can use introverted intuition to understand within a conflict what generated the conflict in the first place, who the true guilty person is, and what justice is in that specific case. Most of the time, you will realize that it's going to be a misunderstanding. A lot of conflicts out there happen because of misunderstandings. So basically, someone says something that the other person takes in a specific way, and that generates a clash, a conflict. For us working with MBTI and socionics and Enneagram and all this kind of things, all these typology instruments that help us understand the human mind, we can also figure out that it's going to be a matter of clashing functions. One example, I found myself in a debate with a TE dominant recently. And what happened was that I am nonconformist. I am the paradigm of nonconformism, and I will never conform to mob mentality and extroverted thinking. So extroverted thinking is basically doing something because that's how everybody does that. And what happened was that we were talking about the army, and in this conversation, what happened was that the person was telling me the army acts like this and makes the parades and uses discipline in this way because that's how it's done. They have to be brainwashed, and that's an extrovert thinking trait, brainwashing. Because of this reason. Basically, using extrovert thinking is switching off your own thinking and doing what everybody else does. I normally call it being like a lemming and following the mass of the lemming down the cliff. That's my favorite example of extrovert thinking. But that's basically, if you think about it, that's what happens in the army. That soldiers are brainwashed into, if you don't like the word, I will put it in brackets, but that's what happens. They're brainwashed into behaving a specific way and doing a specific thing and going all together in a specific direction, doing that specific thing that specific way. And in order to do that, the only way is to switch off your personal ideas, your personal opinions, and your personal trail of thought. And this guy that is extrovert thinking dominant, was telling me, I don't care if you don't understand it. It doesn't matter if you do not accept it. That's not a problem. That you don't understand it and don't accept it is not a problem. But you have to align. And I kept telling him, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry, but it's not going to happen. I'm not going to align. I'm going to accept it because I accept that that's how extrovert thinking works. And I accept that that's one of those environments in which extrovert thinking is applied. And that is something that I can accept. I do not align. I do not think it is necessary. I do not think it is useful, and I do not think it is the right thing. And I do not think it is the right thing to do. And there is nothing that is going to change my mind. So that's basically one situation in which two functions are clashing one against each other, and there is no way to come to common ground. In that case, as you can see, it's unlikely that there's going to be anyone to be punished. It's not a situation in which anyone needs to be punished because the extrovert thinking vulnerable person is probably being hurt and being in a position in which they feel attacked by someone that wants to prevent them from thinking. It was not my case because I've developed and so on, and I'm not angry with this person. It's actually a good friend, and I have nothing against him. And on the other side, you have someone that is probably extremely hurt and extremely offended because their main modality, basically who they are, is not being accepted or is not being respected. Problem is that we cannot always respect who another person is the way they would want to be respected. An extrovert thinking dominant type wants to be respected by respecting extrovert thinking, which is something that an extrovert thinking vulnerable or an extrovert thinking role person is not going to do. So in that specific case, cause and effect is going to show you that it's not always possible to punish someone or to anyway find the witch to burn on the pyre. But yeah, that's what introverted thinking does. What introverted intuition, does. Introverted intuition is the way to put things to put together the pieces of the puzzle in a way that makes you understand what the original cause of the problem actually was. It is going to be your subjective interpretation of the situation. Do not try to do that objectively because it's not going to happen. There is no way to use introverted intuition in an objective way because introverted intuition is a subjective function. It is usually uncanny precise. It is usually extremely precise, and it's usually right, but only usually. It means that sometimes it can be wrong. I think the best example that you can have out there of the application of introverted intuition in a neutral environment is Lie to Me, the movie Lie to Me, the series. the TV series Lie to Me. Cal Lightman is using intuition a whole lot, and he shows very well and explains very well in each episode how he applied cause and effect thinking and why he came to the conclusion he came to. Sometimes he's not spot on, but 99% of the times he's spot on. And that's what happens with introverted intuition dominant types. They are 99% of the times spot on about their cause and effect thinking. About introverted intuition auxiliaries, I would say that they're 90% of the times correct. And that's because they're going to be either TE dominant or FE dominant. So basically, they're going to embody another function, and their focus on their auxiliary function is going to be a little less strong. We can also say they're going to be probably around 80% of the times precise, and that's completely normal. That's completely normal. Anyway, that's what I have about introverted intuition and how to apply introverted intuition to understand the origin of conflicts. I hope it helped and it was clear, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.